All right. So what are we going to talk about? We're in a Cultivate series, and this morning I want to share with you one of the most important elements of cultivating anything: your business, your family, your marriage, your friendships, your spiritual growth. Whatever it is you're trying to grow, the key element that always must be there, and we know this from every high-performance research that's ever been done and the Bible itself, the key component we're going to talk about is accountability. Now, some of you's eyes are glazing over, right? Oh, great, accountability. But the reality is, and I work in the field of high performers and CEOs and athletes, and here's the reality. There is no such thing as getting to great levels of success without this essential ingredient of accountability. Our brains are designed to need it because we've got to get above our experience and be able to see it. And the only way we can see it is through the help of other people's eyes. It's the only way the brain gets to the next level. God says, observe our ways. You know the difference between you and a German Shepherd? I love German Shepherds. I've raised a gazillion of them. The difference between you and a German Shepherd is a German Shepherd barks, but they never go, I wonder if that was helpful. Did that disturb anybody, or did that disturb the right people? You know, can I do that better? See, the difference in a human is that God has given us this ability that must be cultivated through accountability, this ability to get above what we're doing and observe it and improve it. And that's how accountability helps us. And I've never seen greatness, true greatness, without it. And one of the things over the years as I've worked with high performers, this just is more and more true. The better they are, the more they reach out and use it. My most high performing CEO types, they're the ones that reach out the most. There's a correlation, every field. So we're going to talk about exactly how that works. I'm reminded of one time I had a client many years ago, public company, was doing really, really well, and went out and decided to start his own. And this was in the 90s when that industry was going through a particular boom, and he wanted to do it on his own. And he asked me, you got any other things I should do? And I said, well, before you started, I want you to go talk to this man. Because I had a friend who had done exactly the same thing, left a public company, started his own, raised the money, had accumulated revenues in the billions, and he had done it well. So go talk to him. So he goes and talks to him, comes back a week later. I said, how'd it go? He said, terrible. He wasn't any help at all. I said, that's impossible. What happened? He said, I was asking him, how did you raise the money? Did you go to the private equity markets? What did you, and how'd you choose your team? And all this stuff I needed to know to build this thing, because he had been there and he had done it. And you know what he told me? I said, what? He said, I don't want to talk about any of those things until you go and you put your support group together of 5 wise people that are going to walk through this with you. God sent me to get a support group. I need marketing help, money help, strategy. I said, well, now that guy that told him that has been with the same group for 20, 30 years at that point, every Tuesday morning. The second guy who thought that was gibberish, fully funded, 2 to 3 years later, fully bankrupt. And he had the skills, but he hadn't done it on his own. See, whenever we're going to get to the next level of anything, it requires getting out of German Shepherd and getting somebody putting some eyes on it. So we're going to talk about accountability, and I'm going to tell you the way the science of this works, the way the research works, the way the Bible talks about it, because there's 2 things we got to end up knowing today. And number one is, who do I go to? Who do I need? And number 2 is, and once I got them, what is it we do? Now I'm going to answer the first one, who you need. It's very simple, but you need somebody that brings a couple things to the party. Something to the party. Accountability, if somebody's not bringing some wisdom and their own structure and experience to give to us, then we can't internalize that which isn't there. So I want you to find, and it can be professional. You can go buy it. It's in this body. There's wisdom in a multitude of counselors. It's all around us because you're a small group, but you've got to find the wisdom. But the second thing is, this is what we talked about last week. The second thing is, accountability is not, and please hear this, accountability is not police work at the end. Like, so how many of you have ever had a performance review where, you got your goals and you go in there, a quarter later, a year later, and then, it didn't go like they wanted, and then you get beat up. Or how about when we hold our kids accountable? I want you to make these grades, and then we get the report card, and it didn't happen. See, accountability is not rear view mirror looking. Accountability is not negative. It's not getting beat up. We get beat up enough. Reality beats us up. Accountability means to answer to a trust that what we've been entrusted to do, that we're answering. Are we doing it and doing it well? Are we doing it diligently? Doing the right things at the right time in the right way? See, that's what accountability does for us. And there are only two ways that life works. One is, if this is today and this is then, see, we got a goal, and our life goes like this. And what God says is that there's going to be a judgment. And this is just true. There's always a today and a then. The numbers are going to come in at the end of the year or at the end of our lives. Or there's going to be a judgment in our relationships, our families, and our friendships. What happened along this way, and is it going to be a happy ending or not? But here's the problem. What happened along this way, if this ending is going to be happy, let me tell you what happens along the way. This gets moved back. The judgment gets moved back to intervals of accountability. So we're judging ourselves in a good way, not in a harsh way, but each week we're knowing where we're on course. Now I like to look at it this way. Accountability is the most positive thing that we can have when done well, because it is help, it's not a spanking. And I like to think of it like an airline pilot. I flew here a bunch this week, actually. And starting in LA, this pilot gets entrusted with getting us to Chicago at a certain time, intact, right? That's the goal. Well, what if that were the goal and then we just find out at the end we made it or not? Sometimes we might make it, but sometimes not. What if it went really bad? But see, they don't let that happen. And the way they don't let that happen is because all along the way, they have an accountability relationship with an instrument panel. And that pilot is knowing all the time that he or she is committed to a trust of a certain altitude, a certain heading, a certain speed. And those activities are being monitored, and they can adjust, and they get good feedback. See, that's how it works. So we're going to hop into the science of this, and I'm going to give you a formula. The who is somebody with the right amount of wisdom. I don't want Michael Jr. in the air traffic control tower if I'm a pilot. Okay, I want him up here on the stage making me laugh. I don't know if air traffic controllers are funny or not. He is, but I don't want him. See, I want my pilot to have the wisdom in that tower of somebody who knows what they're doing. So we want wise and we want positive. We want an encourager. And I'll give you the formula for that one. It's out of James chapter 1. I love it. God says when we need wisdom, that he gives it to us. But listen to this phrase, and this is how we should be talking to our kids, how we should be talking to each other, how we should be talking to employees. When we need this wisdom and we get together for that accountability meeting, that lunch, that phone call, guess what he says? Here's the phrase out of James 1, that he gives it to us. Are you ready for this? Try this with your spouse or your kids or your friends or your employees. He gives it to us, and here's the phrase, without finding fault. What amazing help. I hate dentists. I'm sorry, we got any dentists in here? I know it's my problem. I don't hate you on the golf course. I just hate you if I have to go to you. Why? Because I had a dentist when I was a kid who didn't believe in Novocaine. It's a true story. And every time I would go in, I got, he was just, how did you let that, and then, that's not without finding fault. Now I go to one that really helps. He knocks me out, and I don't know what happened, but I don't get shamed. So find that kind of person. So let's hop into the anatomy of accountability. How does this work? First ingredient, clear, mutually agreed upon expectations. Clear, mutually agreed upon expectations. All three of those are really important. Clear is really, really, really important. I had a woman in a event like this. I opened it up to Q&A, and she raised her hand and said, "Yeah, I got a problem with my boyfriend." I said, "Well, that means you have a boyfriend." I said, "What's your problem?" She said, "Well, he just doesn't connect with me." I said, "Well, connection's important." I said, "What did you say to him?" She said, "I told him." I said, "What'd you tell him?" She said, "I told him, you need to connect with me more. We need to connect more." I said, "You said that to a guy? You thought that would help? Really?" I said, "Guys only want one thing." Y'all know this, ladies. I hate to reinforce it, but you found out at 15, guys really are only interested in one thing. She's asking for all this, kind of vague connect. They only want one thing. I know this is church, but I got to tell you, it's what the research shows. All guys want is they want to walk along the beach and share their innermost feelings. Right? It actually is true. They just don't know it a lot of times. That's what women are for, to teach them that. But the way she was teaching him was not clear. I want you to be a better student. I want you to connect with me. See, what I had to say to her is, how can he do that? What does he do to do that? Clear expectations are not about the goal only. Clear expectations are an accountability for clear expectations are not about the goal only. They are about the activities that are going to get us to the goal. That's what we need to be held accountable to. When Tony Dungy went to Tampa Bay to be the coach, they had 14, before he came, they had 14 losing seasons. 14. Everybody told him not to go. He goes down there to go. I heard him tell this story at an event. He goes down there, and the first thing he does is he wants to find out, how can you lose for 14 years? So he starts interviewing the players one-on-one because he wanted to get the real story. So he does all the interviews, and after he does all the interviews, he said you boil it all down to, he kept hearing the 4 same reasons over and over and over. Why can't you win a game? Well, coach, first reason is, our stadium's too old. Okay, build a new stadium before fall. Number 2, get this. We don't have a superstar. You got to recruit a superstar to get this place. It was okay, find a superstar before the fall. Number 3, well, coach, we're from Florida. We can't win in cold weather. Okay, move the NFL to Florida. But number 4 is my favorite. He said that the players told him they were under the Doug Williams curse. Doug Williams was the winning quarterback before the downfall. And when Doug Williams left, apparently there was this fan of his from South Louisiana who was a voodoo woman. And when he left, she put the voodoo curse on the team. She said, "Coach, we can't win. We're under the voodoo curse." He said, "Okay, fine, voodoo woman." And you know what he said? He said, we have to get some clear expectations of what? The activities that you have control of. See, they had no control of any of those 4 things. How are you going to get better when you're focusing on stuff you can't control of? You can't control. He said, here's the research. The team that wins the Super Bowl always does 3 things better than anybody else. Number 1, team, let me tell you, guys, this is what we're going to focus on. Number 1, they have the fewest turnovers. So here's the activity we're going to learn how to do. We're going to stop handing the football to the other team. Accountability for working on holding on to the football. Number 2, they have the least penalties. Guys, we're going to learn how to play by the rules. And number 3, the best special teams performance and the activities that built that. That's what they focus on. Not the complicated offense, not the Hail Mary pass, but each week, how are we doing on those 3 things? And he turned it around. It's true in every area. These activities are what make it all work, but we have to be held accountable because sometimes we're not doing them and we can't do them and we need help along the way. And that's what this does. And when these are clear, not only do the activities have to be clear, but here's one for you. Also has to be clear what done means. Like, when have we really done it? How many of you have asked your teenager to clean up the kitchen after dinner? You go in the den, you come back, you have, this guy knows. Are y'all married? Yeah. What's your teenager's name? Mine's Olivia and Lucy. Never mind, I won't be embarrassing. You go in the kitchen, and what do you say? You call that clean? See, we got to define what done means. Worked with a healthcare group one time, and we spent a day offsite with their leaders on this formula. The main thing, they're trying to up to their, patient experience for others, customer experience. And they were so they had been operating under, well, make it a good experience for the patient. Well, what's each person supposed to do? So they started defining it. And you know what a nurse had defined done meant? That each patient, before they left that office, they would have gone and sat with them and asked them 2 things. How did it go today? How's your experience? How's your pain? How did it go? And number 2, what do you need as you leave? What can we do this week? What are you going to need? See, those are activities you can control, but they're clear. And we also know we haven't helped patient experience until we've done those 2 things. My daughter, that I told you about last week when she was little, she's 15 now, and she was 7, having problems in math. And I talked about that story. You can see it online. But she would have this thing about, well, I did my homework. Well, let's define done. And we got into this and started to have a little better accountability other than my just getting mad at her because she did it again, which was bad parenting. Then I read this book and it helped. We had clear expectations. I said, Luce, so here's the deal. Here's what the expectation is. See, your grades are going to happen if we do this along the way. So here's what doing your homework means. I want you to take this lesson. I want you to do a 15-minute session on it, on your homework. 15 minutes, set the timer, 15 minutes, and then take the practice quiz at the end, okay? Then I want you to go back and do 15 minutes again on the same session. Right? Again, same material. Take the practice test at the end. And then I want you to take the practice test 2 more times or until you get 100 2 times in a row on the practice test. That's what done means. And see, for her, it added structure, and she goes, well, I can do that, and it's not as amorphous as getting good grades. So let's get it into the activities that matter. Okay, so the next one is our favorite one after we get all this done. So Lucy, I'm going to inspect it each night. See, all the research in the world shows us that we get what we inspect. And we feel inspection. Somebody's going to be looking at my, and, giving me a teeth cleaning? And she goes, what do you mean? I said, well, I want you to, after you've done that, before you go play your music, she's an awesome musician. You don't have to hold her accountable for that. She makes her videos. Go to Lucy_songs on Instagram. You can see her. She's amazing. She's so diligent on it. Math, not so much at that time. So this needed inspecting. I go, so after you do it, before you do your music, I want you to find me, and we're going to see if you did those things I talked about. Guess what the response was? What, you don't trust me? Oh, Lucy, I trust you. I have entrusted you so much to you that you're going to go to college one day, and I'm already paying for it. That's how much I trust you. I could be getting new golf clubs. No, I trust you. But I want you to answer to that trust. And by the way, Lucy, this isn't just you. I want you to learn that this is the way life works. The state of California inspects me, all of us psychologists, Board of Medical Quality Insurance, every 2 years we get an inspection. Why? Because they want us to be competent. But every 2 years we get an inspection of, did you do your homework? Did you have 36 hours of continuing education? Very clear, and that's done when certain topics have been covered in each interval, when certain hours have been done and accounted for, and in certain ways, some live, some online. I said, so Luz, even if you are the best in the world, there will be at the Olympics a judges panel holding up numbers. See, that never goes away, guys. We can't live an uninspected life because we have a boss. Not only God, but God is ultimate reality. The numbers don't lie. The question is, do we know what they are? And what we'll do is we avoid doing this in our marriages or in our spiritual growth or in our health or whatever it is. We don't do it, but reality will tell us, even if we think we can avoid it, reality is going to tell us, a moment on the lips, forever on the hips. Reality is going to come. A few years back, I went to the doctor and I found out something. I didn't have high cholesterol. It was that test that caused it. I didn't have it before I went in there. She draws the blood, and now I got high cholesterol. So we think, well, I'm not going to get high cholesterol. I'll just avoid the test. See, reality is happening. Our marriages may be drifting apart. Our kid may be going further away. Our spiritual life may be stagnant. And we're a German shepherd all along the way until we're not. So we got to do this inspection. One of the things I love about speaking at Willow, besides I love you guys and I love the way, I just don't go to any place where all the different parts of the way that I understand God, and the way that He moves and transforms our lives. I connect with the way that you do it so much. And I love coming here. But another reason I come is every time I come here, I get a teeth cleaning, an inspection from Bill. Now, I don't know if you know this or not, but Bill's kind of into accountability. He's Dutch. Bill is not only an inspector, Bill is Inspector Gadget. Now, Bill, when I come speak at Willow, Bill for years has been committed to me in the area where he could really help me, and he has, in being a better communicator, a better speaker, because I'm not a speaker. That's not what I do. I'm a practitioner. Y'all just have to sit through this abuse a couple of times a year. This is not my day-to-day gig, right? But Bill, a number of years ago, he committed to me. He said, I'm going to help make you better. I love your content, your principles, so I'm going to help you make you a better communicator. And he's done this. So what Bill will do clear expectations, I will get an email. I come here usually in August, right? I'll get an email in April. So what are you planning on talking about? Here's some thoughts. Let's get the clear expectations. Let me pray about it a month. I'll get back to you. I send him some ideas. We get through that, and he talks about what where the church is and we get all this clear up front. But then comes the fun part, the inspection. I got to be here on Saturday afternoon for the Saturday evening service. I got to get in Bill's dentist chair. And Dr. Mercy wasn't there that day. It's Dr. Bill. And we go through it. He inspects it. Are you going to deliver what we talked about? And he says, no, don't do that. Move this, that. Why would you say that? That's so stupid. Get that point out of there. This is really good. Amp that up. It is so helpful. And if you're able to follow me at all today, it's because one of the reasons is Bill has been committed to inspecting me over the years. And I thank God for it. Now, the other part of this inspection is we got to be able to give it well if you're the accountability partner. But the biggest part is we got to be able to receive it well. See, I know Bill loves me. I know he cares about you. I know he cares about my content. I know that, and he gives it well. He doesn't hold back. I mean, it's line by line. In fact, one time, years ago, I was back there getting my teeth cleaned in Bill's office, and one of the other teaching pastors from a long time ago, Bill's going over every line, every illustration, critiquing this, after the Friday night or the Saturday night service. By the way, y'all are much smarter to come on Sunday morning. This is a lot better than the previous one. But he's inspecting it line by line. This other teaching pastor from Willow walks through the office and under his breath he goes, hey, welcome to my world. Awesome. Inspection, where are you getting it? Where are you getting it and how are you receiving it? I'll tell you a quick story about